input. Just letting your hands be about a foot or two away from your body with the palms facing up. Start to roll the left shoulder blade underneath you and then the right so that your heart is very open. You feel like you're propping your sternum up. And then let everything else sink down into the floor. So whatever has been going on this week or this morning, you've just given yourself this really beautiful gift of time and attention to get to know yourself, what's going on in the body, the mind. So allow the body to let go of all of those attachments. Sink down into the floor. Notice especially your lower back, which often holds on to those habitual patterns of holding and you don't even know it. Sometimes you're not even aware of it. So let that lower back go. It's a joint there, that SI joint, that if we don't move a lot or twist a lot, just kind of get stuck there. So let yourself sink down. We're going to start at the top of the body now, the top of the head. So there are actually joints in the skull. They don't move, but we're going to become aware of them by just taking the palms, the fleshy part of your palms onto your forehead. So bringing the edges of your hands together, the pinky sides, bringing your palms to your forehead, and just start to make circles with the palms, just starting to massage those muscles above your sinuses in both directions, as slow as it feels good. Then start to move that massage over to your temples. So right hand making its way to the right temple, left palm to the left temple. And then starting to move your palms down to the cheekbones, towards the nose, and then down along your jawline. So that hinge joint there in the jaw sometimes feels a little tender. Start to massage the jaw. Now start to move your fingertips towards your skull. Give yourself a little skull massage here. All the way through your hair. Now bring your hands to your ears. Just squeeze the cartilage of your ears all the way from the top along the ridges of the cartilage down to the earlobe. And then back up, squeezing. And then you're going to take the middle of that ear cartilage and just start to wag your ear forward and backward, forward and backward. So I just read that the muscles that move the ears perhaps are part of a vestigial organ or leftover from our ancestors. I don't know if that's true, but that's what Darwin said. And now taking your hands behind you, interlace your fingers to the webbing and just allow your head to hang in this hammock that you've created with your hands, the arm, the elbows flare out to the sides. Like you're looking at the clouds. Close your eyes. Just notice if the facial muscles feel wide awake. You're going to intentionally bring some tension to the facial muscles. So squeeze all of the facial muscles towards the midline, towards the nose. Open up your mouth wide. Inhale through your nose and blow it out the mouth. Stick out the tongue. Really Long lion's breath, and then relax. Once again, inhale through the nose, squeeze all the muscles of the face to the midline, open up your mouth wide, and then blow it out through the mouth. And then relax your facial muscles. Now you're going to bring your elbows up to point to the ceiling. And then start to move your head from side to side. So it's almost like you had a towel and you're drawing the towel across the back of your skull so the head moves side to side, getting those joints in the neck. Now bringing your legs together. So if your knees are bent, straighten them, bring your legs together, point your toes, pull them back towards your face, lift up your head and look at your toes. So you're going to feel a little bit of strength in the abdominal area, maybe a little vibration as you look at those toes, head is lifting, stretching the back of your neck and the upper part of your back. And then release. Now, this looks funny, but nobody can see us. It's called a little bear pose. This is great for the joints, but you also might get a little bit of increase in your respiration. So pick up the feet so your feet and your calves are parallel with the floor. And then pick up your arms. You're going to start to first shake your hands. So shake your hands like you got some hot oil on it and you're shaking it off. So it's pretty vigorous. And now do the same thing with your feet. So wagging those feet back and forth. So you're starting to activate the ankle joints, the knee joints, starting to get that synovial fluid in those movable joints. And now in the opposite direction. So start to shake your feet vigorously and your hands, wagging them up and down. And then side to side. And then up and down. Keep that lower back pressed to the floor and side to side. Last time, up and down and side to side. And then lower down your feet, lower your arms. Take a moment here. Notice that tingling where you brought some heat into the fingers, the legs, the ankles. Find your breath. Now start to open and close your hands so that you can feel those hand joints. So in this type of weather, sometimes our joints get us a little stiffer. The barometric pressure drops. And then start to wrap all four fingers around the thumb and circle those wrist joints. It should feel really good. Maybe if you've driven a lot or you've been on the computer a lot, make it a slow roll and then let the ankles join in. Rolling the ankles and the wrist joints. And then in the opposite direction, notice what's going on in those joints. And then release the hands to the floor. And hug that right knee in. Interlace your fingers over that right shin, pull it in towards your belly. If you'd like, you can make a little ball out of the body here by bringing the forehead and the knee towards one another, pressing your lumbar spine into the floor. If you're folded, lay back down. And now interlace your hands behind that right thigh. Interlace the fingers to the webbing and press the foot away. So that right now your foot is flexed. You're pulling the toes back towards your body. And then we're just going to straighten and then bend that right knee. Straighten, pressing the thigh into the hands, and then bend the knee. Straighten, and then bend that knee. Now straighten and hold the straight leg up like you want to press the heel into the ceiling. Then start to make those circles with your ankle joint. You can feel that all the way down into the hip. And then in the opposite direction. Now start to point and flex the foot. So point the toes to the ceiling, point the heel to the ceiling, point the toes, point the heel, point the toes, point the heel. Now keep that foot flexed. This is a little odd movement and surprisingly challenging. You're going to move that foot from side to side. So the whole leg might move with it. See if you can isolate just the ankle joint, moving it side to side like a windshield wiper. And now let the whole leg move with it. So you're moving gently but assuredly from that hip joint in and out. And then come to stillness. You can stay right here, or if you feel like a nice stretch this morning, walk your hands up to the calf or to the toes, pulling that leg towards you. Now bringing your awareness to the left leg, bend that left knee, place the left footprint on the floor, and then bring that right ankle on top of the left knee. So as if you were sitting in a chair with your leg onto your thigh, press the knee away and then bring it back towards you. So just pushing and pulling that knee, feeling that hip joint, a little bit of an SI joint. Your knee joint is getting a little stress on it. So the cartilage around these joints, we like to stress it, strain it just a little bit, because if you were to fall, you would bend and not break. You would have a little bit of flexibility there. If you'd like to go further and open up that hip, you can press the knee away, thread the right hand between the two thighs and find a bind, either behind your left thigh or all the way on top of that left shin. Push the knee away and then exhale. Maybe pull your left knee in another millimeter or two. Inhale, press the right knee away. Exhale, pull that left knee in. Find your breath. Take some, like 2 more breaths into the lower back. And then release your bind. Extend your right leg out long and hug the left knee in. And release your fingers over your left shin. Pull that left thigh into the left belly. Maybe make a little ball with your body if you did on the first side by pressing your navel to the floor, forehead to the left knee. If you're folded, lay back down. Migrate your hands behind your left thigh. Press the thigh into the hands until the arms straighten. And then start to bend and straighten that left leg. Straighten that leg and then bend the knee. Straighten and then bend. Straighten and then bend. And then straighten, flex the foot, keep your foot flexed, and then start to make circles with your left ankle joint. Big circles like you're painting a circle on the ceiling. And then in the opposite direction. And then point the toes and then flex, pointing the heel. Point the toes, point the heel, point the toes, heel. One more time. And now wag that foot side to side like a windshield wiper. Try to isolate that ankle joint initially and really appreciate those little muscles you very rarely ever even recognize. Now let that movement come from the hip, moving that leg or the foot side to side. The whole leg's moving just a little bit. And then coming into some stillness, walk your hands up to the calf. If you feel a little extra stretch or you did this on the right side, come to the left, maybe grab your toes. Now bending your right knee, take your right foot to the floor and cross your left ankle over your right knee. And now start to press that left knee away and bring it towards you. Just pushing and pulling gently. Recognize what's going on in the left hip, the knee, the ankle joint. So you can stay here or come into a more of a hip stretch. Actually, this gets your glutes. If you thread your left hand between your two legs, interlace your fingers behind the thigh, maybe all the way on top of that right shin. You've been sitting a lot. This feels really good, but there's also a lot of information in this pose. Press the knee away on the inhale, the left knee away. As you exhale, pull that right knee in. Inhale, press that left knee away. Exhale, pull that right knee in, just a smidgen. Maybe it's imperceptible to the eye, but you know you're working. One more time, press that left knee away. Exhale, pull that right knee in. And then release your bind. Release your legs straight to the floor. Now bringing your arms up behind you so the elbows will bend, palms face up, backs of the hands into the mat. Bring your awareness to that right arm. Take that right arm up like you're reaching for the ceiling and then lower it down. So just recognizing that ball and socket joint, you're just going to move that right arm up and down. Notice if there's any crunching as you move it behind you to the floor or up and down. If it's crunching anywhere in between, just notice what's happening in that right ball and socket joint there in the shoulder. And then lower that right hand down and come to the left side. Back and forth with this left arm. Reach it back behind you long and then up and down next to your hip. Now, this time when both arms are going to come behind you, you're going to keep them behind you. You're going to move your feet to the right corner of your mat. And then shimmy your top of your body maybe just kind of inch it along towards the top right of your mat. So you're in this banana shape, feeling the left side of the body open. So imagine that you were standing, your feet were on the floor and you were side bending to your right. We're doing the same thing, but we're using the floor like a little prop here to stay straight. And if you'd like, take that top leg, and this is a little more intense on that left hip joint, take the top leg and cross it over onto your right shin, just to cross your legs. Feel a little more stretch there. Take a nice deep breath into those opening ribs, that armpit, the shoulder. And then relax everything. And come to the opposite side. If your legs crossed, uncross them. Move the legs over to the left corner of your mat and start to shimmy your top of your body over to the left side. Your hips stay where they're at. And then cross that right ankle over left. Trying to keep both shoulders on the floor. You're opening up the right intercostals. Take a nice deep breath into the right rib cage. And then let it go. Let everything sink back down to the floor. There might be a little resistance. Just recognize that if you're resisting letting go. And then bringing your body out of your banana shape. Bending both knees. Bring your hands down alongside your body. We're going to come to first some very gentle, it's not a bridge pose, it's kind of an alternative to bridge, where you're moving that SI joint intentionally. So lift your small of your back off the floor. So you get a little bit of a posterior tilt in your hips. And then do the opposite. Press that space out, tilt your hips in the opposite direction. And then in the opposite direction, lift your small of your back away, and then press that space out. Lift the small of the back away. Notice where your hip joints are moving. The SI joint, a little bit in your ball and socket joint. Now, if you would like, you can come into full bridge after you press that lower lumbar spine into the floor, then lift your hips up. Maybe press the shins away to get a little bit higher. And then we're going to roll down the spine. Give yourself a nice massage on those muscles that support your spine, and then lifting back up. Press your shins away. And then lower down. Find your breath. Let's do this 3 more times with the breath. Inhale, lift up into bridge. Exhale, give yourself a massage on the way down. Inhale, up into bridge. Exhale, lower down. Inhale up into bridge. This time hold it just a little bit longer. Still breathing. And then lower down. Bringing the arms out into a T, palms face up. Inhale the knees up into the chest. Try to keep the thighs together. Take a nice deep breath in. And then as you exhale, lower the knees to the right just before they touch the floor. Inhale the knees up and over the body. Arch the knees up and over and to your left side. Just before they touch the floor, inhale them up and over to the right. So you're using your abdominal strength to stay stable, but starting to really activate that SI joint in your back, in your spine. These are different types of joints in your spinal column. They're definitely there. And then next time those knees come over to the right, let the knees come all the way to the floor. Maybe bring your right hand on top of the left thigh. Let your head spin over to the left as your knees move right. Find your breath. Use your breath to open up the space between your vertebrae. And release the hands from that top leg and come all the way over with the knees to the left side. Take your left hand on top of that right thigh and let your head move in the opposite direction of the knees. Come to the awareness of your breath. Take a nice deep breath in as if you're moving the breath to your lower spine, using your diaphragmatic breath to open up that body cavity, moving from the inside out, and then let it go. Now, keeping your legs where they're at, bring your arms into a T. Taking that right hand up into the ceiling and then over to your left. Bringing your right palm to left and then beyond that left palm. And then roll in the opposite direction. Right hand up to the ceiling and then behind you. Bring your awareness to that right shoulder joint. Working that right shoulder joint in a different way than we did before. Back and forth. Rolling onto your left side and then onto your back. Bring that right hand behind you. One more time, side to side. And next time that right arm is behind you and your arms are out into a T, bring the knees up into the chest and then roll them over to your right side. Once you've settled in, bring that left arm up into the ceiling and then over to your right hand, then beyond your right hand, and then roll it back. So you want to bring that arm up and over, and then roll back onto your right shoulder, left hand to the right hand, and then up and over. Inhale up into the ceiling, back onto your right side. And then last time, up and over. Hold that left arm out, coming into a T with your hands and arms. And you're going to just roll over onto your belly any way that feels right. I kind of roll all the way off my mat along the way here. So come onto your belly, bring your forehead to your arms, making a pillow with your arms, big toes together. Now bringing your hands underneath your shoulders, preparing for cobra. We're just going to do half cobra now. So squeeze your bum first and then use your upper back strength to lift up. Lift your hands up 1 inch off the mat. So using the upper body strength. Come up a little bit higher. And then lower down. This time using your hands as you come up. Squeeze your bum together. Lift up, pull those elbows back, come into this delicious cobra pose where your whole front of your body is opening, but you're also moving the joints in your spine. Now looking over your right shoulder, look to your right heel. And look over to your left shoulder. So you're going to roll a little bit over onto that right hip, right thigh. Back and forth a couple more times. And then lowering down. Start to press into the floor and come into child's pose. Big toes together, knees apart. Let your belly sink between the thighs. And feel that lower back. Feel the hips, feel the knees. You've really worked on getting that synovial fluid into your joints. So maybe you'll surprise yourself that your child's pose is very open and available to you. Coming up onto your forearms, you bring your right foot behind you and then over to the side so that it's perpendicular from your body. You can feel that right inner groin open up. You start to rock a little bit. So you're rocking your hips back and forth. A very gentle way to open up that inner groin as well as the joints. And then coming into a neutral place, you're just resting on your elbows. Take that right leg behind you and out to the opposite side, looking over your shoulder to your foot. And then bring that right leg all the way back. You'll lift up onto your hands and knee and move that right foot forward, bringing the knee to a 90-degree angle. So your hands move to the inside of that foot. If you need a block here or you want to bring a bolster, you can, especially if you've had some sort of surgery on the hip. This might be a little intense. Inhale up onto your fingertips for length. Pull that right hip back and then start to walk your hands forward and let gravity do all the work here. So in this posture, definitely opening up that connective tissue. Allow the heart to be brought down to the floor. One more breath. Breathe. Bring that breath into the lower back and that right hip. And then as you exhale, let everything go. If there's any sort of resistance, let your shoulders go, your neck go, your wrists, wherever that tension moved into the body, let it move out. And then planting the hands, lifting up. Come up onto that left knee. So you're going to scoop the tailbone under here. This activates that left thigh. Just start to move your knee over that ankle. So if you have any sensitivity in that knee, this might be a good time to double up your mat under that left knee or bring a blanket underneath there. Just moving the hip forward, moving it back, moving it forward. This starts to bring your hip flexors into awareness. Move it back. Next time that right knee is moving forward, you can bring your hands behind your head, press your skull into the hands, open the heart, lift the sternum and the heart up to the ceiling. Nice deep breath in. And then lower the hands down. Step that right knee back next to left. Plant your palms, tuck your toes under, rock the hips back, and you can stay right here in this little puppy dog pose, or lift the hips high for a wide leg downward dog. So you want to keep your feet, even if you don't need to, bring your feet the width of your mat, And then start to bicycle it out. So press your left heel to the floor, bend your right knee. Press your right heel to the floor, bend your left. A couple more times. And then come to some stillness. Press your chest back between the armpits. Gaze is between your thighs or up at your belly button. Coming back down onto your knees. Onto your forearms, and we'll come around to that second side. Extend your left leg out behind you, and then sweep it around to your left, coming onto the ball of that, or the whole sole of that left foot. Feeling that inner groin. You just start to rock maybe an inch or two, maybe more, so that you can feel that inner groin gradually opening up, moving the hips back and then up, back and up. You're also feeling your shoulder joints open up here. And then start to come to some stillness. And sweep your left leg behind you, looking over your right shoulder. Maybe see that foot behind you. Nice deep breath into the opening rib cage. Piriformis. And then sweep that left leg all the way to the opposite side, lifting up onto your hands. Move the hands to the inside of the foot. If you need a bolster or a block under the hands, move that block under your hands. You want to be touching something. And then lift up onto the hips or onto the fingertips. Pull that left hip back and then forward fold. Maybe you can allow gravity to do all the work here and not force it. Really appreciate how this body, as it heats up, it starts to organically go into the poses without you forcing it. And on humid days like this, you might actually feel a little more open. Take a nice deep breath into the lower back, into the left hip. Exhale, release any kind of resistance, any tension that's in your neck, the wrists, even the joints of the fingers. Sometimes that tension moves into the hands. Let it go. And lifting up. Maybe double pad, triple pad underneath that right knee as we come up. And start to move your knee towards your top of your mat and then hips back. Move the knee forward, hips back. Just rocking gently awake that right hip flexor. Next time that left knee is forward, interlace your hands behind your skull. Press the skull into the hands. Lift the heart up. Feel that nice opening in the whole front of the body from that right knee up through the quadricep, up through the sternum. And then lower the hands down. Step that left knee back. Tuck your toes under, rock your hips back. You can stay right here in this puppy dog pose, which is downward dog prep, or come all the way up into your full downward dog. Pressing the heels towards the floor, and they may or may not get there. Just notice. Now you're going to walk your hands towards your feet, like a sloth. Move your hands in towards your feet until you come into a forward fold. Once you come to that forward fold, bend your knees as much as you need to get those fingertips connected to the floor. And just start to rock from the balls of your feet to the heels of the feet. To the balls of the feet, to the heels. To the balls of the feet and to the heels, and then find a neutral place for your body to stay still, where both feet are equally holding up your weight, all four corners of both feet solidly into the floor. And then walking your hands up the body until you come to standing. Choose the last to come up, and then roll the shoulders up into the ears and down the back. Up into the ears, down the back. Start to make circles with those shoulder joints, that ball and socket joint. Sometimes we could go a whole week with never even noticing what's going on in these shoulders. This is a good time to give it a little love. And then in the opposite direction. A little clicking going on in that upper back. Hopefully it goes away in a minute, right? And then let's come into the opposite side so that you can just pull those shoulder blades down, those shoulder blades in towards your spinal column. Come into equal standing pose. Close your eyes for a moment. Observe any kind of sensation, whether you perceive it as good or bad. Just observe any sensation, maybe tingling, heat, coolness, fatigue, energy, whatever it is. Let's not label it good or bad, just whatever it is. We're going to start to open up this right hip joint, ankle joint now, and even the joints of the toes. So start to bring your ball of your foot, of your right foot into the mat, and start to make circles with that hip joint and right knee. So this is effective. You can stay right here. If you'd like to make it more of a balanced pose, you can lift that right knee up and start to make circles. Just a little more muscular effort. And then in the opposite direction, whether that foot is down or not. And then lowering it if it's up, come to some stillness. Let's do the opposite side. Turn the left knee out, come to the ball of the foot. And just start to make circles with that left hip joint, knee, ankle joint, everything coming alive here. If you'd like, you can pick that left knee up and do the same thing. Make circles with that left hip joint. And in the opposite direction. And come into some stillness. Now let's get this SI joint moving. Start to move the hips back behind you. Make circles. Back, side. Press the pubic bone forward. And then move it back. Side, forward. More times. So when we reverse this, just notice how it feels different. Now reverse your circle. Synovial fluid that you're activating. This is what nourishes those joints. We never moved, and we don't get any kind of nourishment in those joint spaces. Come into some stillness. Bring the arms down alongside the body. You're going to move that right arm forward, up, and behind you. Slowly at first to notice what's going on in that right shoulder girdle. And then maybe faster and faster. And then in the opposite direction, slowly at first. And then faster. These big circles. And then let that arm relax. Second side. Start to move that arm up, back, behind you. Up, back. Notice if you're resisting doing just simple postures like this. Just trying it. Maybe go faster if you have no pain. I don't know whoever said no pain, no gain. Probably some football coach, but yoga's the opposite. No pain. You don't want any pain to make gains. Let's make the opposite direction with that arm. And then release. Now starting to shake the hands out, shake the wrists out, and then up and down. So sometimes I see people kind of doing like this. It doesn't work like that. You have to like wag it. Sort of uncontrollably. And then to the side. Now let those arms be loose alongside the body. And start to twist from side to side. Your arms are just going to hang like appendages, like ropes off your shoulders. There's no muscular effort in those arms. They're just swinging from side to side with the centrifugal force you're creating with your hips. You have to have your knees a little soft, the feet a little wide, wider than your hips. All right. Now, as you stop moving your hips, the arms just naturally come to stillness, like ropes on a tree. Now let's get that neck joint. Take that left arm out, tilt your head to the right shoulder. Take a nice deep breath and then exhale, lower that left arm down, straight arm as you lower, keep your ear to your shoulder. Sweep that left arm behind you, and you're going to grab your left wrist with your right hand. Just pull the length out of that side neck. And then release. Let's come to the second side. Right arm out, tilt your head to the left. Soft shoulder. Take a nice deep breath in. And then lower that right hand down, keeping your ear to your shoulder. Now, if you'd like, grab your right wrist with your left hand and pull the length out of that right side of the neck, keeping your ear to the shoulder. And then release. And then let your chin come into your throat. And then lift up. Just opening the cervical discs. They get a little bit of fluid into those disc spaces, up and down. And then coming to stillness. Going to come into a yoga squat. Bring your feet as wide as your mat, facing the short end of your mat, and lower down. Bring your palms to the floor. Bend your knees as much as you need to get those palms to the floor. And then slowly lower your hips down. You want your knees to track in the same direction as your feet so you don't hurt the knees. And once you get down there, Either just let your arms and torso fall between your thighs, or bring your palms together into a little prayer. Letting that hinge joint, that ball and socket joint in your hips really open up here. And then release the hands behind you. Extend your legs out for staff pose, Dandasana. Staff pose, you might find it helpful to kind of grab that flesh, pull it away, bring your legs together, ankles together, thighs together. Nice straight spine. Sweeping the arms up. Keep those shoulder blades close to the spinal column, even as you raise your arms. We're going to come up and down into this forward fold a few times. So take a nice deep breath, like you're holding on to that sun, and then reach it forward, 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 and then up. Inhale up, exhale, forward fold. Inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Last time, inhaling up. Exhale, forward fold. This time, hold the fold. If your hands naturally come to your feet, just grab your big toes, but it's not necessary. Otherwise, just bend your elbows, let your hands fall wherever they fall, and let gravity do the work. Use your breath to assist. So inhaling, maybe come up a smidgen. Exhale, fold in another inch or so. Inhale, lift up. Make room for the breath as you inhale. Exhale, fold. Last breath. And lifting up out of that forward fold. Bring your hands behind you, fingertips pointing in towards the body. Just roll the shoulders up and out of the way. Bend your knees. And just press the circles of the palms into the floor. Look up. You can stay here or pick the hips up for a reverse table. If you have any injuries in your shoulders, you're not going to want to do this variation. But it does feel kind of good if you can do it. And wrists are getting a lot of attention here as well. And if you're up, lower down. And extend your left leg out. Right knee falls to the side for head to knee pose. Sole of the foot into the left thigh. I'm first going to do a twist to your right. So look over your right shoulder, left hand outside the right knee. Press the hand into the knee to get a little deeper twist. Looking over that right shoulder. And then in the opposite direction, twist to your left. Left hand behind you, right hand outside the left knee. And now sliding that right hand down, coming into your head to knee pose. There's a little twisting action in Janusirsasana. See if you can feel that. Maybe cross your left wrist over your right. Grab your foot or your ankle as you forward fold. Lifting up. Come to your second side. Right leg out. Left knee in, let that left knee fall to the side, sole of the foot into your thigh. Take a nice deep breath in and twist to your left. Right hand outside the left knee, look over the left shoulder. And then unwind, twist to the opposite side. Right hand behind you, left hand outside your right thigh or knee, looking over your right shoulder. And then slide that left hand down the leg, keeping this little twisting action as you forward fold into head to knee pose. You can stay here, maybe even cross your right wrist over your left and fold a little deeper. And lifting up out of whatever you're in, extend both legs out. We're not going to come to a wide V here. This is more of a shorter V, smaller V with our legs. And just start to walk the hands out, forward fold, hinging from the hips. You should feel really good. You've really opened up those hip joints, the disc spaces in your vertebrae, your SI joint. You should actually feel like this is a pretty available posture to you as you fold in. And lifting up out of your forward fold. Come onto your back. Bend the knees. And give yourself a little squeeze, bending those knees into the chest. Pushing and pulling those knees in. Inhale. Press the knees away. Hands on the kneecaps. Exhale, pull the knees in. Inhale, press the knees away. Exhale, pull the knees in. Inhale, press the knees away. Exhale, pull the knees in. Hold. And then extend one leg out at a time onto your mats. Feet reach towards the corners of your mat. Arms come out a foot or two away from the body. Roll your right shoulder underneath you and then your left. So this is where, if you would like, you can take your Shavasana to the chair that you found before the class. If you have a chair nearby, you can scooch your body over to the chair and just bring your calves onto the chair. This is a really nice therapeutic thing to do for any kind of lower back tension. So you can remain here in your Shavasana for the next few minutes. Letting the breath go. Coming to the awareness of your facial muscles. Start to release any tension in the face, smoothing out that space between your eyebrows. Come to the awareness of where your hairline and your forehead meet. Smoothing it out. Let your breath now be long and even. Letting your body do the breathing for you. No inhibition or intention of your ego, your thinking mind. Just let the body breathe. Just like those trees outside will sway from side to side without any resistance. Just let your lungs be that loose, that fluid, that open.
So as you've opened up the capsules in your joints, allow this synovial fluid to get into that joint cavity in most of those joints. And that synovial fluid lubricates it, nourishes the cells in the area of the joint. It absorbs shock. So without movement, none of that really can happen. So thank yourself here for moving in a way that's good for you, mindfully. So I'm going to read one little paragraph from one of my favorite books, A Life of Being, Having, and Doing Enough by Wayne Muller. And then I'm just going to fade away so that you can stay in whatever posture you've chosen here for as long as you'd like. So this is called stillness. We can make our minds so like still water that beings gather about us, that they may see. It may be their own images. So live for a moment with a clear, perhaps even a fiercer life because of our quiet.